So here we are. The guy needs no introduction. Everyone knows your watch. I've seen your watch on my Instagram for years. But for the uninitiated, please tell us who you are, Jocko.
My name is Jocko Willink. I was in the military for 20 years, retired from the military, and then I got involved in a bunch of different businesses when I got out.
Did you just take the leadership of an elite Navy SEAL unit and call it, I was in the military?
Well,
a little bit more about your career. I mean, there's a lot of SEALs out there doing a lot of amazing things, but you had a particularly distinguished career.
Well, I did. I was very, very lucky in my timing, and yes, I was in leadership position in some pretty heavy deployments. So really lucky in my career, and an honor to be able to serve with a bunch of great guys.
So I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of Navy SEALs and bumped into them at different events and things like that. One of the things I find so compelling is there's this sort of idea about winning. There's an idea about not giving up. There's ideas about sort of teamwork and leadership. How do those ideas apply to business?
That's one thing that
I ask the easy questions.
No, it's okay. One of the most critical things that I realized when I retired from the Navy was that leadership was leadership, and it didn't matter if it was leadership on the battlefield or if it was leadership in business or if it was leadership with your family, your sports team, whatever. It's all the same. And so when I realized that the things that I applied in the military to achieve victory could be applied in the business world as well. So that's what it is. And yes, it's a direct match. And sometimes people say, well, when you're in charge in the military, lives are at stake. Well, in the business world, livelihoods are at stake. So this is how, you pay your rent, you pay your mortgage, you pay for your kids to go to college. So when you take that away from somebody, you've taken away their livelihood, you've basically taken away their life. So there is a lot at stake on both fronts.
Yeah. One of the things that I've learned sort of my career in hiring people is we look for folks with military backgrounds just because they come with a certain seriousness, a certain gravity, they're mission oriented, and we've had a lot of success with veterans. But you've had a lot of success in business. Like, people are talking about Jocko Fuel, but they sleep on Origin. Like, Origin are the best boots I own. Your Bison boots are the best boots that I own. How'd you get into that?
Same thing for me, when I'm in the world, I'm always looking around, seeing what gaps there are in the world. Just like when you're looking at an enemy compound, you want to find out where the weaknesses are in that compound so you can attack it properly. Well, with Origin, there's a real lack of American-made products here, especially clothing. We sold all that equipment overseas, and that was just terrible, and it gutted whole communities and really gutted a whole demographic of our country. And so as I started growing and having some influence with people, I looked to try and see how we could make more American-made products, and that's how Origin came into play.
Because it's dope. The boots are dope. The jeans are dope. I think I have 2 of your gis.
Right on.
Like, I'm a big fan of your products.
Appreciate your
products. And then how do you make the leap then from American-made sort of apparel to beverage?
Well, same thing. When I looked at what's happening in the supplement world, in the food space, I saw gaps, and I saw things that I wanted to have that just didn't exist. And so when I see something that's a problem, I take ownership of it and try and get that problem solved. So that's what I did with food and supplements.
Incredible. And then tell me about the brand. Like, who's the customer? What's the use occasion? Like, how are you guys positioning it?
When people ask me this question about, who is our demographic? And for me, I just say our demographic is people. And the reason I say that is because, look, I travel all the time. I have a leadership consulting company. I'm out doing events, and I meet people all the time. And I meet moms, stay-at-home moms. I meet firefighters, police officers, business people, finance people, insurance people, energy people, construction, everybody that's trying to do a little bit better in their life. That's our demographic. Those are our people, and that's what we make the product for. We make the product for people that are trying to be better.
Amazing. And you've got some pretty interesting partners. So tell me about some of your partners.
Well, I'm sure there's only one partner you're actually asking about right now, which is Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
So Chris Pratt, who was getting ready, I think he was getting ready for Zero Dark 30, either Zero Dark 30 or the Terminal List.
Yeah. And was he pretty legit in both of those, from your opinion?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great. But he was trying to get in shape for him.
Yeah.
And
because he was kind of roly-poly in Parks and Recs.
Yeah.
People forget. He was a little soft.
Oh, no, never mind. A little soft. And, when you hear him talk about that, he had a feeling that basically he felt like the fatter he was, the funnier he was. And so he would just be like, "Oh, I'm going to go get a cheeseburger. I'll be even funnier."
That's what John Belushi thought. That's what Chris Farley thought.
Yeah, true. Well, and eventually he wanted a role in Moneyball, and he had to lose the weight. But he's an athlete. Like, don't sleep on Chris Pratt. He's an athlete. He wrestled in high school. He's a really good grappler, and so he knew how to cut weight. So when he tried for the role in Moneyball, they told him he was too big, too fat. He didn't look like a professional baseball player. Yeah. So he's like, "I'll cut the weight." And so he cut the weight, got the role. But then when he was getting ready to play a SEAL, he had a friend who was a SEAL.
Yeah.
And
because he filled out for that. Yeah. I mean, he's not fat, but he's thick. I mean, he looks like an operator.
Thick. Yeah. And so Jared, who was trying to get Chris in shape, who knew me, gave him Jocko Fuel. And it was, they went through a bunch of different supplements and whatnot, but the one he liked was Jocko Fuel. Yeah. And so he started, he used it to get in shape, and it really helped him out. And he was super pumped about that. And then, he had a little break in movies, and he was starting to look at like what business opportunities there were, and who should, his agents were coming in, that these people want to sponsor you, these people want to do a collab with you. And he was looking at all of them, and he's like, man, why would I do these products I don't know anything about? Or there's this one, and we had met before. One of my other friends, Jack Carr, wrote the Terminal List. We're friends, and we'd hung out a little bit. I'd met Chris before in the past, and so he said, "Well, I'll just reach out to Jocko and see if he wants to do something." And also, he's a patriotic guy, so he really loved Origin, and so he called me up and said, "Hey, like, I'm looking for like business opportunities. What do you, I know you got Jocko Fuel. I love it. I know you got Origin. I love it. Let's do something." And so we figured it out. And then out of that, oddly enough, I'd written a bunch of kids' books, and the kids' books.
I didn't know you wrote kids' books.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't know that?
No. I mean, I thought I was going to surprise you because I knew about your boots. Like, I literally love your boots, but my kids may be too old.
Yeah, so I've written a bunch of kids' books.
Okay.
And the kids' books were getting turned into a movie.
What's the age range for the kids? Like 5-year-old?
Probably between 6 and 13, 14.
Okay, good. So like the Harry Potter kind of demographic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I wrote these books. I got approached by a producer in Hollywood, and we had the screenplay written, and so we had this really, really beautiful screenplay.
Like an onion. Peel back the layer. I did not have children's books on my bingo card.
Yeah. So, as I'm having these conversations with Chris about, putting together a business deal, my business team was talking to his business team, because my producer was like, "Hey, you got to give Chris Pratt the script to this movie." Yeah. I'm like, "Dude, I'm not going to give this guy everybody that meets him gives him some kind of screenplay, and will you do this and will you do that?" I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Well, my business team gave his business team the screenplay for Way of the Warrior Kid, and they read it, and they were like, "Oh man." And they gave it to Chris, and Chris read it and was like, "We're doing this movie." And so we filmed, it got picked up as the biggest deal in Hollywood since 2020.
Wow.
Skydance and Apple is the partnership.
Incredible.
And we filmed it 2 years ago, and it comes out November 20th. It's called Way of the Warrior Kid, and it's an incredible
Dude, the
movie.
timeline of these projects. This is a 5-year project for you.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
Incredible. Well, before I let you go, just to kind of, I'm so grateful that you spent a little bit of time with me, because whether you know it or not, like, you've been a huge influence. Like, there's so many times where I sit back to myself and go, "Oh, they canceled the appointment. Good. Oh, they want me to lower my price. Good." Like, there's so many times I've just looked at situations and said, "Good. Let's figure it out. Let's adapt and overcome." So I really appreciate you bringing that sort of attitude into my life.
Right on.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.